It was a balmy summer afternoon, and my two friends and I decided to take a psychedelic trip. The chosen substance, LSD. We gathered at our friend's apartment, where there was a sense of both nervousness and excitement. As we each placed a tiny, colorful blotter on our tongues, I couldn't help but feel a rush of nerves mixed with eager anticipation. One friend was joining me on this psychedelic journey, while the other opted for sobriety. Our trip sitter for the day, we planned to walk to the park to immerse ourselves in nature once the acid began to take hold. Surprisingly, the effects kicked in much quicker than anticipated. As we stepped out of the apartment and onto the bustling city streets, a sense of unease came over me. The urban landscape appeared daunting and unfamiliar. I didn't like passing people on the street, fearing they could see the shift in my reality. With each step, I questioned whether I was acting normally. The sober friend had one last task on our way to the park, to pick up some snacks. However, my fellow tripping friend and I couldn't muster the courage to step into the store. Mere thought of interacting with strangers felt like an insurmountable challenge. We stood outside, waiting for what felt like an eternity, our discomfort and awkwardness growing. A wave of relief washed over us when our sober friend returned, bearing supplies. With renewed energy, we continued our journey toward the park. Finally, we arrived and settled on the grass beneath the lush canopy of trees. The natural world sprawled before us, vibrant and alive. The park radiated a natural beauty, and I began to relax. The relief of being away from the busy city streets filled me with a sense of freedom. But just as the outside world began to find its harmonious balance, my internal world took a tumultuous turn. The acid's grip tightened, and I found myself spiraling into a negative place. It started as a small thought, a fleeting notion that quickly grew into a storm. Everything began to lose all sense of meaning. The words we exchanged felt empty and hollow, mere sounds in the void. The relationships between my friends and me felt stripped of their significance. Reduced to mere roles, we were playing in this bizarre, nonsensical drama. The concept of the park itself, once so inviting and beautiful, now seemed absurd and arbitrary. Its greenery and tranquility offered no solace for the existential crisis that was unfurling within me. I sank deeper into nihilism. As I gazed at my surroundings, I couldn't escape the conclusion that everything had lost its value and meaning. Work, family, friends, it all seemed worthless. Panic set in. How was I supposed to return to the monotonous routine of daily life? The thought of work, with its endless cycles and societal constructs, overwhelmed me. My fellow tripping friend noticed that something wasn't right. "What's up?" he asked, concern on his face. I looked at him, the void echoing in my mind, and replied, "Nothing means anything anymore." The words hung heavily in the air, as if they too were devoid of significance. My friends tried to reassure me, telling me it was just the acid and that it would pass. But the concept of time had lost all meaning, and the promise of relief seemed like a distant illusion. One friend suggested meditation, a lifeline in the sea of despair. I settled into a cross-legged position and began following my breath, trying to bring acceptance to how I felt. It was a difficult and tumultuous journey. Slowly, the meditation began to work. I embraced discomfort, accepting the void and all the uncertainty that came with it. Over time, the feeling of meaninglessness started to fade, and I felt a sense of relaxation wash over me. With each breath, the world began to regain color, shape, and purpose. Gratitude welled up within me, and I marveled at the value and significance that were returning to all things around me. I was no longer lost in the sea of despair. I had found my way to peaceful serenity. I sat there still in the meditative posture, looking out at the resplendent park. In the midst of this turbulent journey, I had discovered a profound truth. The meaning of life was not something external to be sought, but an intrinsic part of the human experience. As the world slowly pieced itself back together, I found solace in a realization that I carried the power to create meaning in the vast expanse of existence, even when it seemed elusive and distant.